Lord of the Rings is a vast universe filled with fascinating species, stories and creatures, but to understand this we first have to understand its origins, the creation of this intrepid tale. So for this video I'm going to try to sum up the early history of the Lord of the Rings universe, the creation of Middle-earth and its races. We're not going to go into crazy detail, as the purpose of these early videos is just to give you a foothold in this vast universe. So it all starts with God, or Eru Ilúvatar, and it's just him and an endless nothing, so he did what all gods tend to do, and that's create. Firstly, he created magical angels known as Einar, 15 of which are called the Valar. These are the protectors of the world, which represent their own pantheons: King of the Sea, Mercy, Stars, all the standard stuff. The other Einar are called Maiar, which serve the Valar and are less powerful. They're all angels, just some are more powerful, and they all ultimately serve Eru Ilúvatar. But he wasn't done there. He and all of his angels began to sing, and this singing is what created Arda, or the world, which contains Middle-earth. Now, Eru decides to create two species for his new Earth, man and elves, and believe it or not, but man are his favoured children. This is shown by their mortality and short lives, and although this may not seem that good, it separates men from the rest of the world. Their mortality makes them more productive, more unique than the other races. Whilst the likes of elves are completely tied into Eru's great song, they're really just another part of the Earth, constant and unchanging. Now, you may be thinking, well, what about the other races? Well, Eru allowed the Valar to do some creating of their own. For example, Elu, Lord of Earth, made the dwarves with some input from Eru, whilst others made everything else from trees, mountains, plants, ents, eagles, and basically everything. So ultimately, everything was going pretty well. These species were all put into a great sleep until Eru and his Valar were done shaping the Earth into their own little paradise. However, one of the most powerful Valar, named Melkor, began resisting Eru and the other Valar and decided he wanted to have his own song. This created unbalance in the Great Harmony and created all chaos and suffering in the world, and making some pretty big creations of his own: werewolves, dragons, the Misty Mountains, as well as high and low temperatures. He also became known as Morgoth. Now, Melkor's off-course singing did manage to attract some of the Maiar, the lower class of angels, to his side, including the Balrogs and Sauron, a very powerful Maiar who acted right hand to Melkor. Over time, the different races and creatures that the Valar and Eru had created began to wake, and the world really began to take shape. However, Melkor continued to disturb Eru's creation any way he could. Not being powerful enough to create his own form of sentient life, he opted to kidnap elves and corrupt and selectively breed them, which eventually became the Orcs. Over time, Melkor massed armies of darkness and attempted to seize control of Middle-earth and the rest of Arda. Eventually, Melkor is imprisoned by the Valar on their own part of the Earth known as Valinor, an immortal land, and a lot of stuff happens in this time, but for the first episode it's more of just a crash course, so we will be revisiting this time frame in the future to talk about some of its most significant events, but for now we're just going to continue with a basic idea of how it all happened. Now, Melkor, aka Morgoth, is eventually set free, but he's straight back to his old tricks, and after attempting to seize control of Arda yet again, something known as the War of Wrath happens, and this leads to Morgoth finally being defeated, chained up and thrown into the Endless Nothing, a final defeat. But this is far from the end of Morgoth and evil's influence in Middle-earth. There's still Sauron, rings, and a whole lot more to happen. But for the first episode, that's it. Next time we're going to talk about how Sauron continues his master's work and his rise to power using the rings, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the first ever episode of Lord of the Rings lore. Please remember to show support by sharing it and liking if you did. Also, follow me on Twitter at The Lore Guy for regular updates. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.